Hi everyone, welcome to the Hodlcast. I'm here today with Naomi Brockwell. We're in Mexico on the Contra cruise.
So lovely. It's gorgeous here.
And Naomi, can you give a little background on yourself, your role in the crypto space, and then we were going to focus on your impressions of the Ross Ulbricht trial a few years ago.
So I have a tech show that's mainly based on blockchain tech, and I interview all kinds of thought leaders in the space. I've been doing that since 2013. I first started making videos about crypto, and it's been a wild ride. I mean, the crypto space is super exciting. But regarding the Ross Ulbricht case, I mean, it's devastating. I was actually at the hearings and the sentencing for that, and in my opinion, it was such a miscarriage of justice, and it was really quite a sham trial, with the defense not being able to actually look at the digital evidence and examine it to see if it had been tampered with, for example, little things like that. We're living in this digital age right now where so much evidence being put forward is digital. And I think that gets into a scary environment because we all know how easy it is to Photoshop things. And so if we're dealing with a person's life, a man's life, and we can't even examine the evidence being put forward by the prosecution when they have a very important vested interest in seeing this man go to jail, as sort of like a case example of what happens when you cross the government's war on drugs. I think that it's a really dangerous situation.
Yeah, I'm currently helping Ross's mom, Lynn, who loves you. I was talking with her yesterday. Write a 2255 motion, which is basically against Draytel, the initial attorney. We have to say that he didn't do his job, and if he had have done his job, the outcome would have been different. And there's quite a bit there that we're looking at, but was there anything specific that you noticed about Ross's attorney that struck you as odd?
I feel like he didn't provide a very strong case. There are immediate things that I would have put forward too, but I like to see someone who's very confident, supporting what I think is the side of freedom in this. You have a man who created a system that made things, who was accused of creating a system that made things substantially safer for drug users against the world. And you had a prosecution who, I heard this woman cite Ross's political opinions as a reason for the extra harsh sentencing, saying, I don't believe you've actually renounced your political views, and that's why you're a danger to society. That sort of thing blows my mind. That right there, the fact that didn't go through to the Supreme Court, that was rejected, blows my mind. They really dropped the ball with that, because that is a huge miscarriage of justice, and in my opinion, Ross is definitely a political prisoner. You also saw the judge over and over citing these murder for hire cases as reasoning for why Ross was really, really dangerous and should be put in a maximum security facility. Ross was never charged with murder for hire. Everything that was put against him regarding that has been dropped with prejudice, and the lead prosecutors in the case are in jail for fraud and corruption. This should not have gone through, and that judge in particular, I thought, was just she's a terrible, terrible person for allowing things to enter the courtroom that he hadn't even been charged with, and to allow that to affect her decision in the sentencing.
Absolutely. To me, the attorney, the second she said anything about those murder for hire charges that were not charged, I shouldn't have used the word charges, but the fact that it was said to the jury, that prejudiced the whole jury against Ross, and that should have been a mistrial at that moment. There were so many things. We'll get it. I know we don't have a ton of time to go through all of them, but basically there was also evidence, and I think you know this too, that other people had logged in while Ross was in prison, and that was not told to the jury.
Yeah, nothing was told to the jury. They couldn't even mention to the jury about the two lead investigators who were involved, who were charged with fraud and theft on the website. These are two criminals, actual criminals, who were leading the investigation against Ross, and the jury wasn't allowed to hear about this. The jury wasn't allowed to have expert witnesses like Andreas Antonopoulos appear to actually talk about this technology. Apparently Andreas was not cited as an expert, probably the most foremost speaker in the blockchain space who understands this so well, wasn't allowed to give a testimony. So the whole...
And that was the lawyer's fault because he submitted the wrong credentials for Andreas to the judge. So that, I think that alone should give, should make this 2255 win, but we'll see.
Absolutely. And it just breaks my heart because Ross is a really peaceful person. I've had the great privilege of meeting him. I visited him in jail, and he just seems like a very peaceful person, and obviously he's in jail for all completely non-violent crimes. So the fact that he's gotten double life plus 40 years, it makes no sense to me and is really disgusting thing to have happened. So I'm really hopeful about this petition that's being passed around about leniency and clemency for him and his sentencing. I'm placing a lot of hope in that, and I hope that people realize what sort of a travesty of justice has occurred and they step up to support someone who I think was making the world a better place.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Naomi. Really appreciate this.
Well, thanks so much for chatting, and it's great to be here in Mexico with you.
You too. And thanks for the invite for Christmas time in Australia some year. That will be fun.
All right.